The most important daily nutrient that anybody can take is a high-quality probiotic. Well, what's a probiotic? Well, we all know what antibiotics are. They are pharmaceuticals that are literally mean against life, antibiotic. And they're utilized to specifically kill specific groups or individual types of microbes, usually considered pathogenic. Probiotics are beneficial flora that exist in our mouth, in the body, in the bowel, and they are of an extreme amount of varieties. It's said that we have almost 500 different varieties of microbes in our gastrointestinal system. Yeasts, molds, funguses, bacteria, some of which are unknowable and unculturable. But we have isolated over the years several strains, such as lactobacillus strains, and the beneficial yeasts, such as Saccharomyces cerevisiae and Boulardii, which actually are benevolent little workers for us in our digestive system. They synthesize and break down our vitamins from the foods that we eat. They break down the cell walls of things that we do not have necessarily the enzymes or the ability to digest and completely absorb. They manufacture, as a part of the fermentation process, lactic acid, which is of a benefit to our digestive system and to the mucous membranes of the bowel. And so, continually culturing the digestive tract with a spectrum of good probiotics and good friendly bacteria is the number one key to health as far as I'm concerned. About 15 years ago, I met a friend of mine who became a lifelong friend from Australia at a conference in Utah, and his name is John Kay, and he was a real character and is one of the original Crocodile Dundee style Australian outback fellows. And he introduced me to this whole food that we shared while I was there at the conference. And I was so amazed by the quality of the food and the microbes that were in it that I actually began to I wanted more. I mean, we lived on it for a few days, just as an experiment. And it turns out that this company had been working on strains of friendly bacteria for almost 25 years. And culturing these strains to be resistant to extremes of pH, to be more resistant to the presence of vitamin C, to alcohol. Of course, anyone who knows Australians realize that if you're going to have good bowel flora, they got to survive alcohol. And various other stressors which tend to kill a lesser bacteria. It always wondered me why strains of lactobacillus that live in the culture, live inside our body at 98.6 degrees, were subject to dying unless they were refrigerated. That never quite made sense to me, because unless you're living in a tropical area, most of the United States doesn't exceed, except Phoenix and some of the desert areas, rarely exceeds 100 degrees. So why would lactobacillus be that fragile that they would need to be refrigerated in order to survive in a viable count, unless they were weak and ineffectual strains? It doesn't make sense. And so we began to import some of these fermented products and some of this lactobacillus from Australia, and found it extremely beneficial. So much so that I began to utilize it in my practice after my family and friends were using it for a while, and we saw the benefits of it. And we coined a phrase, call it Aussie Dophilus. It makes you feel good down under. And it really does. Aussie Dophilus is one of the most powerful, beneficial strains of microbes that I've found, and I use it every day in my practice, and I recommend it to all of my patients as a foundational nutritional supplement.